Good morning. It's early, but it's good. Whoa. Hi. Yes. So really quick, today we're talking about innovative ways to grow or to grow your online presence. Awesome. All right. I just want to get through this talk really fast as possible, because I really want to save time for questions at the end, because I know that the real value comes from the context. And so as I go through this presentation, please feel free to ask me any questions or save them. Feel free to take down some notes. I'm going to try to go through them as fast as I can because it is a lot. And hopefully by the end of this, you guys will be able to gain at least one thing that will help you guys with whatever you're doing, whether it's for your business, your brand, et cetera, et cetera. But before I start, I actually want to do something really quick. When they gave me this topic, innovative ways to grow your
the main word, so here's what we're not going to be talking about, how to gain more social media followers, how to just be popular. I think the main word that stuck out to me here a lot is presence, right? So really quickly, somebody throw out some, when you guys hear the word presence, what does that mean? Okay, being seen. What else? Engagement. That's really good. Adding value. Good. Anything else? Being relevant, being consistent, cool. So yeah, there lots of good stuff. I think the one that I liked the most was engagement, right? I think that in this world that we're living in, there's a lot of vanity and superficial kind of metrics, and then there are a lot of metrics that really matter. And so coming from the world that I'm in, and I'm introduce myself really quick, kind of what I've done, but coming in the world that I've been in, and in the time frame of it, there are things that I pay attention to that I care a lot more about that might not be talked as much. So that's my goal for today, right? And as I've seen sessions yesterday and sessions later on today, I'm sure lots of things are shared and lots of it are you guys have heard over and over again, but my goal is to try to show you something that you guys might not know, all right? So let's go through these slides. And they're very simple slides, to be honest. I just try not to forget stuff. So hi, again, they're like 1 to 2 word stuff. So before I start, I actually want to do 2 things with you guys really quick, right? I want to introduce myself really quick, and then I want to set some fundamental and foundational things so that you guys know where I'm coming from a little bit better, right? So my name is Andrew. I'm online everywhere at Brand with Drew if you want to check out some of the work that we do. So she was talking about earlier, I'm one of the co-founders of a company called BYOB Live, which does not stand for Bring Your Own Bottle. It stands for Build Your Own Brand. And it's a fairly new, but we've turned into one of the fastest growing kind of communities when it comes to events, conferences, communities for creatives, entrepreneurs of color, et cetera, right? Concurrently, I also run a marketing agency called the O Agency. It is a branding marketing agency for a lot of pro athletes, CEOs, executive entrepreneurs. I've been doing that for 5+ years now. So a lot of the stuff that I do really is in the branding, the online, the marketing space at a very in-depth level, right? Right before then, I'm a graduate of Hampton University. I graduated, got my MBA from there. Started my own business. I've been doing it ever since. Before there, let's see, I'm from DC, Maryland, Virginia. Anybody from DC? Awesome. Yeah, I mean, right before Hampton, I was actually even, just a quick backstory, I won't go into too long. Right before then, I was kind of, thrown out of the house, kind of on my own, sleeping in my car, begging for food, just to kind of figure out what I had to do. And so I've come from a very bootstrapped, kind of started from the bottom type of character. And over the past 6, 7, 8 years, we've been able to build online, specifically through the phone, specifically through the internet, have revenued over $1 million. And today, I'm going to talk about what kind of has worked for us, right? I think that, I'll put a side note, I think there are many avenues to success. This is the path that I'm taking, and so I'll share those elements with you guys, right? But it's not, you guys can use it, or you guys can do other things, right? Doesn't really matter. We'll go from there. A couple things. One more last thing before I start. I want to do a couple little perspective shifts, right? So kind of help me out right here. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Okay, you're all wrong. All right. We're starting off a little slow, but that's okay, right? So it's very, very common for people to say, it's who you know. But in today's world, in 2019, I can easily argue that it's not even about what you know, it's not even about who you know, but it's who knows you, right? Because we're so connected in the online world and space, everybody knows everybody. Right? Everybody thinks they know everybody. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's cousins, best friends, all that good stuff, right? But it's very, especially as a brand type of person, I'm very, very cognizant on who are you known for? Who are you and who are you known for? And that's way more valuable when you think about your online presence, whether it's your website, your social media, just your overall presence online, right? Being known for a specific lane or industry is the key to helping you grow not only online, but into a revenue generating space opportunity for your business, all right? The second kind of shift, just to kind of get you guys closer to how I think, because we're talking about brand, this might be something noteworthy. A brand is not right or wrong. It is only weak or strong. Okay, so the reason why I say that is very, very important. In today's world, because there are so many types of people, backgrounds, knowledge, experiences, right or wrong is very, very subjective, right? To grow a presence, to be present online, to be talked about, to be revered, to have a good reputation, and it's about having a strong brand. Not about being right? You think about all the brands now, literally on social, in the political space, you can talk about all the way from a social media influencer all the way up to the president, right? It's not about being right or wrong, because the people that are in the position that they're in and the communities that follow them really believe in what they believe in. There's no point of even arguing, of even trying to talk, of even, right? Just do what you do. The world is very, very large. And so it's important to remember that it's not about being right or wrong. Once I realized that, I don't argue with anybody anymore, right? There's no point. As soon as it starts, congratulations, you won. Like, there's no point of arguing, because people go through their lives 20, 30, 40, 50 years and have been groomed to believe the things that they believe. And it's very, very hard to change that mindset and that shift. And so if you want to build a presence, don't be laser-like focused and be very, very resonating to your audience, the way that they speak, talk, and that's where the opportunity comes in also, all right? And then the very, very last kind of perspective shift that I want to share with you guys is, I say this a lot, whether it's your online presence or your social media channels. I say this a lot because we're living in a world where everybody thinks I have to be online, or I have to jump on social media, or I have to do certain things. And the problem with that is a lot of people tend to be headline chasers, trend chasers, and they're doing things because everybody else is telling them to do it, and not because it actually makes sense for their brand or business, right? I say this all the time, social media will not make or break you, it will only optimize you, right? So think about that. If you suck in real life, for lack of better terms, having 100,000 followers will only make you suck to 100,000 people, right? It's not gonna help you. You understand? You have to really, really understand the fundamentals of what it truly takes. And one of my favorite quotes from a guy named Tim Ferriss, he wrote a book called 4-Hour Workweek. He says, an excellent product at a good price will always win. Everybody always talks about marketing, nobody actually talks about the product. Right? And why is that, right? So an excellent product at a good price, basically you're undervalued stock. You're worth way more, but you're undervalued. And so that's why you will always win. All right. So these are some kind of fundamental things that I think about, and when we're talking about building an online presence, I come from a little different space, right? So, next slide. That's the name of this presentation. Okay, cool. No, so the only key is conversation, right? What you do online, whether it's your website, social, everything, it's all based on conversation. Once you get to the point where you try to sell something, right, you have the few people in your hot and warm network that will buy from you. Why? Because there's trust from what? Engagement, right, from conversations. After that, everything is about conversation. Everything. So the only goal for you is to make sure that they're commenting, they're DMing, they're inquiring, all these to setting up a call. It's all based on conversation and nothing else. If you start changing and understand that, hey, I'm not trying to sell, I'm just trying to have a conversation. Why? Because that builds trust, right? Because that builds resonance. And that is truly, truly key to making sure that you have an omnipresent online brand, all right? Just something to remember. I wrote this kind of down because I didn't want to forget this. So a lot of people talk about a lot of different things. And I could assume that from the title of this presentation, you guys may think that we're talking about ads or produce content consistently, or hashtags, backlinking, getting press, storytelling. Everybody, to be honest, once you're in this game for long enough, everybody says the same exact thing, right? And I would hope that, whether you hear it or not, or you can Google it, all this information is pretty prevalent. But what I want to talk about today is a little bit deeper, right? Because especially when I talk about this term presence, right? Being present, right? Talking to people, conversions, conversations, engagement, depth, right? There's this thing that I say all the time. I would rather be in front of a room of 100 people and share something that I'm doing than post a flyer to 100,000 people online. Because I can guarantee you that by the end of this conversation, I can get 50 serious inquiries versus having 50 likes, which then turns to, nothing. Honestly, right? And it's very, very hard. So again, depth versus width is everything I'm talking about today, right? But the key to really, really building an online presence does come down to, you guys heard it yesterday if you guys were here for Ronnie's session, storytelling is really the key, right? But what I want to do today is I want to break down how to go about that. Once you have the fundamental brand elements, your websites, once you started your channels, what do we do to maintain this presence? What do we do to grow your reputation at scale? What do we do to continue to resonate with a lot of people, right? So I'll go ahead and start, and I'll make it very, very as simple as possible for you guys. Innovation, which I think of as think outside the box. Which I kind of already started this conversation by kind of giving you guys examples of what I think will help you think outside the box. I'll go through the who, what, how, and where. I think there's supposed to be a question mark after where. That's okay. The who, what, how, and where. And I'm going to try to get you to change your perspective a little bit. And a lot of times people do this and they talk about their audience, right? Like who their audience is, what are they doing, all that good stuff. But today, since we're talking about our online presence, I want to think about us in a very, very deep way on how we should go about things, all right? So who? Good, who? All right, so there's another book, and please, feel free to, these are books that I've read, and they've helped me tremendously. It's by Russell Brunson. There's an author, he wrote a book about 4 or 5 years ago called .com Secrets, and he states that every time you go through and your storytelling, right, which everybody says, storytell, like, what does that mean? Like, you have a story, okay, great, but how does that play into the bigger picture, right? How do we use that to really build an online presence, right? And in this story, if you guys noticed a lot of commercials, movies, they all kind of follow a very, very similar path, at least when it comes to the main character. And so you have to start thinking of yourself as the main character in this story, right? Not from your lens, but from a top-down perspective. If I were the director of this movie and I'm the main character, this is how I would go about it, right? And there are 4 key elements that every character, every attractive character, which is your story, which is you and your story, go through. They all fall under 90% fall under these 4 items, right? Number 1 is leader. Number 2 is adventurer. I don't even know if that's a word. Number 3 is the reporter. And number 4 is reluctant hero, adventurer. Is that a word? Okay, good. All right, good. Just make sure y'all are awake. All right, so look, leader is very, very, so look, think about this, right? Think about this from the top down when I start talking about this. A leader is someone who has enough separation from the pack that people entrust them to follow their lead, right? They've done something significant. They are the person that, in today's world, a lot of people will consider that the influencer or whatever it is, but they've done enough, they have enough credibility where people are following them because they've accomplished it, and now they are positioned as the leader, the CEO, or et cetera, right? So you can take that approach within your story if that's where contextually you are in your brand or your business, right? The second is as an adventurer. Now, this is the type of person that maybe they're starting to venture off into a business, or they're starting to venture off into something, and so they're almost like the guinea pig of their storyline, right? So their goal is they're going to go try things. If they fail, they'll document it. If they learn, they'll document it, and people are following because they're brave enough to just go, right? And so that could be part of your story and what you're doing, right? I know I am not the leader, But let me be that person that is willing to go out there and try things. And people will pay attention. People will follow you, and you become known for this very, very attractive character that, there might not be 5 steps ahead of me, but they're 1 or 2. And that's enough. And not only that, they're also reachable, right? Which plays very, very nicely if you know how to leverage that. The third is reporter. Now, this is the type of brand, whether it's for your business or your personal, where you guys see a lot of people starting podcasts, doing interviews, et cetera, et cetera. They seek and share information from other experts. And so you see it all the time, actually. People start vlogs and podcasts, and basically all they do is just interview other people, right? And it's not necessarily their information. They're not the leader yet, nor have they gone through it, but they're gaining the information to share to others. And so they play the reporter kind of role. And again, this happens all the time. We see people start, channels, all that good stuff, and they'll social pages, podcast pages, websites, and their goal is to highlight or to feature other people, but you get to be known for that person that's bringing value to that community by being that connector, right? So you're the reporter. And last but not least, which is probably the most powerful one, is called the reluctant hero, right? Now, this is the person that has found out what it takes, knows the secret sauce to your industry, your lane, et cetera, et cetera. But they share it out of more so out of fulfillment and duty, right? The reason why I say this is one of the most powerful kind of character traits, it's all, because everything I'm talking about today is all psychological, right? Which is what marketing is, which is what branding is, right? The reluctant hero is someone they know how to solve a problem, they know the answer to something, but they don't share it, they share it not based off of transaction, but based off of just relationship, right? It's not a, you have to pay me for this, they're willing to do it out of duty, they feel like it will truly help people, and this role is very, very powerful because if people see you in this limelight, they start trusting you more, because they know that it's not just about a simple transaction, right? And so this is a very, very interesting character. But definitely check out the book. You guys will learn a lot more. It's called .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. You will also learn about the value ladder and so many other things. It will probably change your life. I read it in one day because it was that good. And I've learned a lot from it. And through that, I've gotten the opportunity to meet Russell, and that led me to Gary Vee and a lot of other cool things. And it's really just started from reading the book, right? And so just think about that when we're talking about who. So who you are is very important. Not just you doing what you do and just kind of guessing it. It's understanding I fit in a storyline. If I'm directing this story or this brand, I fit in there, or other characters fit in there, and how does that play out, right? Cool. I came up with this literally last night. It's called Atlas, right? To kind of help you guys remember this a little bit better, which is really, really cool because it's kind of like a map, right? And so after who, we're talking about what. So I talked about who you are and how you should position yourself. Next is we talk about, obviously, content is a very, very big play. I have no idea how much time I have. I think we're supposed to be over in 5 minutes. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm going to run through this. The Atlas, right? So this is what you should be doing. So out of years and years of just kind of paying attention, following this, I've started to realize, okay, what are the best types of content, right? Or what should I share that will allow me to gain a lot of engagement, of presence, of natural excitement and emotion with my audience, right? We've all heard of emotional marketing. It's the 100 best way to kind of go about anything. There's a quote that I also made up this morning for you guys. It's called start with emotion, then give the potion. That's good, right? And the potion is basically whatever the solution is to the problem, right? But before you try to sell, everybody knows the best way to sell is not to sell at all, right? It's to just connect, right? It's to have an emotional connection, right? That was good. That was good. Please tag me in that. So Atlas, so here's the what, right? So the first one, I'm gonna go through it really, really fast for you guys. What should we be sharing? These are all, some of you guys already know this, some of you guys might not, but it works very, very well. One thing I'll say that might be a little different, I don't subscribe to posting every single day or minute or hour, right? Like, I think that by doing that, you're more noisy and nobody really knows what you're talking about, right? I look at, and I mean, we can go through every single social media channel, but I'll just use, for example, Instagram, right? I think that your feed is almost like your website portfolio, right? It should say or demonstrate who you are at the highest level. You use your IG story to document behind the scenes and et cetera, et cetera. But I think that gives you, it's not a right or wrong answer. I just think that it gives you more brand resonance. I think that people, once they go over and they check it out in 2 seconds, your top 9 posts makes a lot of impression. You know what I'm saying? And if you're sharing too much, or if it doesn't really tell people who you are, they're not thinking about you in a certain way, right? So little things like that, right? I'll go a little more tactics that I do a lot. So let me just jump back to this because we barely started. All right. So what? All right. So the first one is an accomplishment, right? And then you guys see this, whether you're accomplishing another year in life, or your birthday, where you're accomplishing an anniversary, you're accomplishing a new job, and you're posting on LinkedIn, you're accomplishing a new opportunity, a new press, a new article, whatever it is. This is obviously a piece that allows people to resonate with you. Now, how much they care, who knows, but at least they'll say congratulations. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're starting the conversation, you're starting the engagement. Again, conversation, right? Conversation. Get people to slowly care. Get people to slowly, see that you're about your business, and what happens is you start attracting other people who are about their business. All right? The next one is T, trial and error, right? And so a lot of people this is a great way to talk about we kind of talked about this with the adventurer kind of thing, right? You've gone through something, you've made a mistake, share that, right? This is another way, another what kind of form to share in your storytelling, trial and error, so that people can learn from it. You know what I'm saying? It's not 10 minutes. Let's go. The next one is lifestyle and lesson. All right, okay, now I got to really run through fast. I probably have like another 90 slides. All right, lifestyle and lesson. So lifestyle, as you guys know, this is when people take nice pictures, they'll write a nice story, all that good stuff. This works well, right, because a lot of social media platforms are based heavily on visuals, right? You have to understand the game and play the game, and it's just part of kind of how you hack the algorithm, the content, become more present, but still make sure that you give true value in your copy, right? Against the grain is a great type of content where people who are smart and have any sense of marketing or psychology know that when everybody goes one way, just go another way. And then you stand out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just talk about, and the reality is, a lot of times when I sit on panels, somebody will go down and talk about like these 3 things, and I will literally go the opposite way, just so that it's more, like, it's less boring, number 1. But 2 is because it's context. Guys, like, there are situations for everything. And once you've been around the block long enough, you'll understand that you can change that and create a narrative or a story around it. That's what PR people do. That's what crisis people do. They create a story or a narrative, and they know how to go against the grain, even when everybody is going a certain way, all right? The last one is skyscraper method. You guys should Google this if you guys don't know about it. It's basically, go out and see what's the most popular, and then replicate it but make it better, right? So that now you have the most popular piece, right? This is something that you Google. A lot of people use this method to help grow their website SEO, but you can do the same thing on your social channels, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, the how. Okay, whoops. All right, how. 3 things that are very, very important to me. I kind of mentioned earlier, like the copy, the lesson. For myself and all of our clients, I almost absolutely always do super long form content, which means everything that I write is super long. My captions are blogs. I write paragraphs and stories and books in them, to the point where, I don't know if you guys know, there's a limit to how long you can actually write in your, and that's how long I write. I literally go until I can't write anymore, right? Why? Everybody thinks that, people are, there's so many things going on, you gotta catch attention. The problem is you're catching the wrong type of attention. If you really, really want to build real presence, real reputation, real connection, I care not about the person who's just gonna go scroll like, but I care about the person who's gonna read it, and the person that does read it is gonna build a deep relationship with me, whether subconsciously or consciously. And even if they're not there yet, I want to train them to get there. So even if your posts aren't getting the right connection, the right value, the right engagement that you're going, just start, write stories, write books, because the people that it does connect and touch, it will go a lot further. Right? It will truly help move the needle versus being, again, very, very top of the funnel, superficial heavy. Another thing that we do a lot is called content multiplier. A lot of people call it content batching. If you follow Gary Vee, he has a whole Gary Vee VaynerMedia model for this. Basically, you do a super long form content, which I just talked about. It could be in the form of a podcast, a video, etc. that's an hour long, and you cut it up into multiple pieces, micro-sized, bite-sized, digestible pieces. You take an hour-long video, hour-long podcast episode, you cut it down to 1-minute bites. Then you share it everywhere. Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, your website, YouTube, et cetera, that allows you to do something at one time and multiply your effect and allow you to have this kind of month, 2-month, 3-month long presence without doing that type of work every single week, right? Because it's very, very hard to come up with new stuff every single week. So you kind of plan this stuff out and then you do that. You guys should do it. We get paid thousands of dollars and you guys can do it and start a new business. It's actually very, very easy. And then the last thing is segment everything. So here's another quick tactic that we do. You want to, everybody, whether it's your website traffic that goes to your email list, you want to segment people like very, very clearly to who they are and what they do, right? And I'll give you a very, very prime, easy example. You can go on your Instagram story, say for example, instead of promoting something that you're doing to everybody in the world, ask a question. You know they have poll options, they have this and that. Ask a question and start seeing where people funnel into. You're doing that for them to just engage with you, but then you can start seeing who thinks what way, who does what. Then go back and then message them personally. Then go back and get their email. Then go back and offer custom tailored stuff to them so that you're speaking their language at the time that makes the most sense. Be present individually, not just with everybody. That is the game, that is the goal, and that is how you scale using the internet, right? Not just by sharing everything, posting everything, and doing it's a customized, slow approach, but it's still very scalable because you can sit behind your computer or your phone and just do it, all right? Everything at the end, once you kind of go through this entire process, everything comes down to this, creative and context. I kind of just said this earlier. I mean, once everybody says produce content, great, but my content doesn't work. It's because it's not either creative enough or it's not contextually based to who you're talking to. This becomes the secret sauce. This becomes how do you innovate? How do you get this? Honestly, sometimes, guys, you have to get totally outside of your lane and your world. Go to a trucking convention. See what they're doing. Go to a Comic-Con. Go to something that absolutely has nothing to do with what you're doing, but they're doing something in that world that you can take, bring it to your world, and then automatically everybody thinks you're a G. It's pretty cool. All right. And then last but not least, where, right? So I'm going to talk about this distribution. We know who we are. We know what we're doing, and now how do we get it out there in a more innovative way, right? And again, I'm not talking about ads, I'm not talking about all this stuff that I'm sure lots of people will or have talked about today, but my goal is to talk about more the psychology and the depthness of all of this, right? So, as always, partnerships is the fastest way to grow anything. I think that we all know this. We have two people that have enough brand, that have a reputation, have audiences, partnering with people. Somebody just mentioned left and right partnerships are the best way, right? It's hard to do vertical because, I can call Diddy, but he just won't answer my phone call. You know what I'm saying? So you got to partner left and right? A lot of people talk about influencers. I would highly focus on micro influencers. People who have 20 to 80,000, say, for example, distribution, email list, social, et cetera, partner with them to work with them. Why? Because to them it's a new opportunity. They're not in the game long enough to know that what they're worth, if that makes sense, which means they're undervalued attention. Right? You give somebody an opportunity who this is their first time getting the opportunity, they don't know how to price themselves. They don't really know what they're doing. You get what I'm saying? So as their trend goes up, you take advantage of, again, just undervalued opportunity, undervalued attention, undervalued kind of resources. One of my favorite, I'm almost finished this, one of my favorite is called user-generated content. This is how you get things out there. I can at any point generate 15, 20,000 emails at any instant because I'll use something called shortstack.com, right? So it's based off of running campaigns that go super viral. It's based off of doing contests, it's based off of doing giveaways. Now you're accessing and allowing other people to share, generate, and use or talk about your brand. It's called user-generated content. We use it, how we're getting stuff out there. I use ShortStack, and then last but not least, my favorite thing is always events, offline. She's sending me the Q&A. Feel free to raise your hand, or I'm gonna just keep talking. But basically, they're saying Q&A, so I'm just letting you guys know that I'm following them, so they don't fire me. So events, offline. This is hands down my favorite. We're only 2 years old. We've only been around for 2 years. Our last conference, we did over 2,000 people in Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you guys for coming through. And we're really, really excited, and I think that we can double. And I'll probably in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll put 10,000 people in a room. And I did that not because I'm gung-ho on online, but I actually know that the faster way to build online is to build offline, to really be in a room, to really touch people. I highly suggest that you guys, whether it's yourself or your brand, not just attend events, but host the events. Host a party. Be the person that is the connector. Be the person that brings people around. They'll know who's doing it. They'll buy into you because you're doing it at a high level or at a great standard, right? Events is hands down. If you're not getting any traction, start by throwing a panel, call some of your friends, bring them together, come up with a catchy name, do it for free and have people come through. And you will automatically start generating connections, presence that will then transfer online, right? And then people will start talking about you. People will start actually engaging because they were there, right? This is real hand-to-hand tactical combat that really, really works, right? I started 2 years ago by doing workshops all around the country. We started in 2017, and 2 years later, we were able to bring together over 2,000 kind of creators and entrepreneurs of color from almost every single state because there's a lot of presence and resonance in the community and the audience that we build in our niche. You can do it for your niche also. I'll do it for you in your niche. Let me know, all right? Final thoughts. What's going to be on people? What's going to get the people going in 2019? This actually comes from another presentation that I just added in, so the font looks a little different, but that's okay. I just thought it was good. All right, what's going to move people in 2019? These are things that I think are just kind of keywords, buzzwords that I think are interesting. I just want to throw out there. So think about it as you're going throughout your careers and your business, right? Nostalgia is a very big and popular one. Vulnerability, more truths, clarity, breaking bad habits, going against the grain, unlearning to relearn, better storytellers, life on the extremes, either you're super minimalism or you're super high production, not being politically correct, personality, personal branding, I'm just like you, commonality, humility, collaboration over competition, loyalty, multiple impressions of resonance. Just things to think about, Google it, understand what all of this really means, because this is how you build a true online and offline presence. A lot of people are cool online. Never mind. I'm not even gonna go there. Just try to be both, try to really have a symbiotic relationship with who you are in real life and who you are online. Because a lot of people will fake it till you make it. And I'm in the industry, so I see a lot of things. But if you want to do real stuff that moves the needle, that impacts a lot of people, that makes you a lot of money, this is kind of where it starts. Oh, this is the very, very last slide. Sorry, I hope. This is kind of, I take a picture if you guys want. This is a good way to kind of look about, we kind of talked about story, but I broke down the depthness of your story, right? Your story is where you introduce your brand to the audience and build trust with them through engagement, through conversation, through emotion. It is the baseline for everything that you do. Their story is where you portray a lifestyle associated with your brand. This is being the director of your business from the top down, understanding what they care about, connecting the dots, aligning. Then it's your product. Your product is at the very, very end, right? It represents direct advertising of your product or service, all done through content creation and content distribution. Any questions? Yes.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for saying good morning back. That was nice. My name is Jasmine White. I am the CEO and founder of HBCU Student Rentals, in which I rent out student housing to students who go to HBCUs. So my question to you, Drew, is because in a few years, I do have this huge dream of starting a conference in which we are real estate based.
I love it.
So how did you go from, oh, by the way, I'm not just saying this, BYOB is a conference that y'all should all really be there. Like, I've been twice, and I've literally not only had the time of my life, I've met amazing, it's like this, but it's awesome, and I'm not just saying that.
I didn't pay her for that.
He really
I don't even know her.
I swear. So how did you go from literally having this BYOB in your brain to literally having an event, a very successful one at that.
Actually, it's very easy. It's actually what I just said like 10 minutes ago. I go outside of your world and understand that there are so many things going on outside of your lane, outside of your world. The whole idea for this is I went to this, are you guys familiar with HubSpot? You guys ever heard of that? Cool, take a look at it. So about 5 years ago, I went to a conference. I went to a conference called Inbound Conference. It was in Boston. I was sitting in a room. It was probably the most amazing conference I ever went to in my life. I really didn't. I mean, I had a business being there. That's why I was there. But I was in a room. It was about 15,000 people there, right? And I saw the level of connection that was being made. I saw the level of mentorship. I saw the level of all this good stuff. But one thing that was very, very interesting to me was I looked around the entire room, right? And there was like 99.999% like, again, for lack of better terms, like older white male figures, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, wow, this is crazy, right? Because I know how much value this is bringing. I know how good this is, but I know that for many different ways, where there's barriers of entries, whether, I mean, the cost was like $1,000 or, you know, it's not marketed directly in a certain way, et cetera, et cetera. But I told one of my partners at the time, I was like, yo, this is really dope. You know, I want to do something like this. But when you look around the entire room, it's just a better representation of where America is today, right? And so that's where the idea came from. I saw the blueprint exactly how I wanted to build it. And honestly, when you attended it, it is almost the exact same replica, just in my lane for the community, the world, and the people that I can connect with. Yep. Yes, sir.
How's everybody doing? I'm gonna go by the name of Sir Abstract. I am a spoken word artist, and I create high quality open mic events or spoken word events in the city of Charlotte. So my biggest question to you is learning, even though that you have something that's doing really well and very successful, you always have your strengths and you always have your weaknesses. Mm-hmm. So do you tend to just focus on your strengths and, you know, let those weaknesses be, or do you focus on your strengths and as well as, you know, from time to time?
No, this is a great question. Everybody will tell you to focus on your strengths and hide your weaknesses, right? But then what happens when you don't have money, right? So I think at the beginning, I think I'm in a position now that I could do that, right? But at the beginning, again, coming from absolutely nothing, starting from ground zero, you have to be smart and in my opinion, acquire skills that even make your weaknesses not your weaknesses. You know, if it's if it's important to your business. You know what I'm saying? The amount of money that you make in today's world is very, very equivalent to your skill set. If you have higher in-demand skill set, then you will make more money, right? Now that's working for somebody, right? Whether you're a top-level marketer, coder, whatever it is, versus something else. And then in the same thing in the entrepreneurship world, your skills then turn into a type of service or package, right? And then you use that. But I will say, I don't like excuses. So that if you want to say, hey, I can't do this because of this, that to me is you've let control out of your own kind of hands, and that's a dangerous thing because now it's a downward spiral to the bottom, right, of the barrel, right? Instead of just like, what's the alternative? You know what I'm saying? Just do what you, figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Do what you have to do, and it's more important to now because you are starting from the bottom and everybody else is kind of not, or they have certain privileges or leverages or whatever it is. You have to just put your blindfolds on and just kind of like not pay attention. You know, I mean, you know, you just kind of, I don't like sounding repetitive, but you just kind of have to just kind of be in your own zone and do your own thing. Yes, let's go. Yes.
Thank you. I'm Phyllis Coley, and I own Spectacular Magazine. The magazine itself is 15 years old.
Awesome.
But 2 years ago, we went total digital.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, it's a whole new business.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, when you talked about the Who, is it possible that you can be two of the Who's?
Absolutely.
Okay, at the
Great
same
question.
time. That's
Great
what,
question. Yeah. So like normally when I do talks, they're like 4 hours long, and this went down to like 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. So I get to break that down, right?
Okay, yes.
Right. So absolutely, it can not only change. It can not only be multiple, it can change during the season that you're in, if that makes sense, right? And then that's how you know, because you might start as an adventurer, but then you might turn into a leader, right? Or et cetera. And that, you have to understand that natural progression. Correct. Yes, perfectly right. And so the hindsight is the only person that knows how and when is you, because you are basically the mother, father, and everything to that baby and so you know it better than anyone else. But that's the perspective that's necessary. That's the insight that you need. Or if you don't have it, you have to bring somebody in that can help you find it. That's a really, really good question. Yes, come on. We're going until they stop us.
Hello, my name is Cambray Glover. I am a digital brand strategist, so I am starting to work with more restaurants and catering companies. So how do you think you can do long-form content for restaurants and catering companies?
So look, I'd be lying if I said I know the answer, number one. But I can think this through with you, right? Let's just think this through. You have a product, which is what? Your restaurant, your food. Okay. A lot of people are doing this now. Where's the food sourced? How is it sourced? Did it come from, oh my gosh, you go to the grocery store and you have like 12 different options of eggs. Like this is grass-fed eggs. This is like not, neutered egg. I don't even know. Like there's so many types of eggs. I'm like, yo, like, I mean, I care, but damn. I mean, and that's the story, right? Because people care. I mean, we're such in a privileged opportunity now where we can care about stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like 30, 40, 50 years ago, you just wanted to eat, or die. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like we care about how we eat, you know what I'm saying, and what we eat, right? For the longevity, because it's depth. Everything is depth. Everything you sell. There's story about the founders, story about the people that come in, story about the food. People care about that stuff. Why? Because you're competing against every other restaurant in the world. But besides having an excellent product, and a great price, unless you just play the bougie people market, right, which is a whole other world. It's how people resonate. It's how you make people feel. That's cool. Are we almost done? Hey guys, please end now. That's what they're saying. Guys, if you guys you guys are more than happy if you guys connect, ask any questions online. I use Instagram a lot at Brain with Drew. Shoot me a message. I'll connect with you guys. If you have if you took any pictures, I would like it. That'd be cool. Thank you for sending it to me. And yeah, I'll be around. Feel free to chat. Thank you guys.